Hi friends, David here from Learn Stage Lighting, and today I'm pumped because we're going to dive in here with LED video walls, just like the one behind me, just like the one beside me. Whoop, autofocus is the worst, don't use that with walls. And we're going to talk about the different shapes and kind of designs that you can do with an LED wall that can look really awesome. I am going to, in the next couple hours, this video will not be a couple hours, will go ahead and set up with this simple blue squares texture a bunch of different LED wall setups, some different examples of different ways that you can build LED walls that can look really awesome on your stage to give you some ideas of how to make it happen. Okay, we're going to go through the nuts and bolts of how to do it, and then we're going to do it. Okay. And so there's a couple things that are going to be in play here today, and I want to walk you through those first. Okay, the first is truss brackets for LED walls. Okay, traditionally, as you see here, we've got a hanging bar at the top of our wall, and we're connecting that to our truss above and hanging the actual LED wall from the truss. Okay, this can work well for some shapes and styles of LED wall. But as you get more creative, a lot of the times you want to actually use a clamp and have it supported by the truss. Okay, these ones are the DVS ones, the DVS optic ones, and the TRC1, I believe they're called. And these work really cool. So here's what they do. Basically, you can adjust with this knob how far out from the truss it is, so you have some adjustment there. In case your truss is slightly out of level, you can level your LED wall really good. Okay, then there's this end, which connects to the wall itself. Let's do a quick demonstration. So if I pull out a fresh panel here and pop it down on the table, I've got my cord protectors on, but even if I didn't, this panel has edge protection, like all good panels. That's why we like DVS so much. And right here at the bottom, at this point, I've got a little slot there. Don't know if you can see that. Let me flip this panel upside down. So I've basically got at the bottom, which is now the top, a little slot, a little keyhole for this guy, at which point I can turn it, and then I can go ahead and tighten down on this nut. And when I do that, now things are nice and tight. If I need to turn the turner guy, I could do that with this knob, tighten that down on the side, get everything happy, and then adjust it, hang it off of my truss. Okay, so that's the first tool we're going to use today. The second tool we're going to use is our hanging bars, but in this case, it will be our ground stack bars. Okay, so pretty much any LED wall can ground stack, can be supported by the ground, either with a dedicated ground stack system or on truss with bases and extra weight added, okay? The extra weight's going to depend on the wall itself. We obviously can't make engineering judgments on TV and just tell you that they'll work. Okay, but having, for example, hanging bars that can invert, you can remove the eye if you want, or just gaff tape over it to make it hide, which, speaking of which, oh, what is this? What is this? I know you might be sick of this, but this is grade A gaff tape. This is a gaff tape. We'll click to it here and just have a card for it that we found that we've been able to brand as our own. That is an excellent gaff tape. It's really good. It works functionally identical to the big name brand stuff like Pro Gaff, but comes in at 40 to 50% of the price, or 50 to 60% of the price. It's awesome. Okay, check it out. Buy your first roll today. Put it on subscribe and save. If you use a fair amount of tape, you will thank yourself with the money you save. The dinners you buy yourself, go get some steak. So you can tape over that and make it hide. But having a bar that is able to have leveling feet on it, be a hanging bar or a ground stack bar, is gold. Okay, now if you're ground stacking, you may have to flip your panels, okay? So with these panels, for example, and the way the ground stack bar works, the way most work, I actually do flip my panels upside down in order to connect them to the bar. That's okay, not a huge deal inside the LED processor. Other ground stack bars actually have a connector going up so you can keep your panels facing upward, but not a big deal either way. Okay, let's talk about mapping. This video is not a video about mapping odd shapes of LED walls. However, it can be done if you're doing stuff that's just textures like this. You know, you're not trying to like fit words or certain images into certain spots. Then I would say, don't worry about mapping it. Take the easy road and just play the content on it. It'll probably look really great, even though the screen in the processor is set up, you know, as a rectangle. Having it in abstract shapes is typically going to work fine. It starts to look a little funny if you have segments that are really far apart and then the video just kind of jumps from one to the other, but it kind of depends on the content too. You might be able to get away with it and save yourself a bunch of time. Okay, that being said, if you are going to do a lot of kind of abstract mapping and kind of skipping segments and whatnot, you should really look at one of the Coex VMP processors from Novastar. Okay, they're new, but they're not expensive. This KU20 actually, which is their kind of entry level, is actually less expensive than a VX400 from Novastar, but it has the new Vision VMP platform. I'll remember what it stands for maybe. And the VMP software is miles ahead, so much better than Nova LCT if you've ever used that to configure an LED wall. It's so easy to just lay things out, put them wherever they are in real life, and then have the mapping work, have it work instantly as you move them. It's just so wonderful. We've got them at Learn Stage Lighting Gear. They're such a great option. Okay, so all that to say, let's go ahead and build our first wall. So I'm going to start, since I've already got this together as a wall right here, and I'm just going to do some basic vertical stripes, because vertical stripes look awesome when you happen to have, you know, areas where you're trying to fill. Now, there's a couple ways that vertical stripes can work well. One is just stripes themselves with textures on them. The other is to stretch your wall out. So maybe you can't fill your whole back behind your stage with LED wall panels, but you want that space to be filled. Okay, that's fine. Just go ahead, do a rectangle wall in the center, cut it off a little short on the ends, and then do some strips as you go further out. So let's do some strips hanging from this truss. We'll be right back. Ta-da! So, vertical strips, they look cool. When you're hanging them, you do need to be careful or just kind of tie off the bottoms because single rows, this won't happen with double rows unless you have a double hanging bar with only one connection point above. But anytime you've just got a single connection point above, they may want to kind of do this and move around a lot. Simply just tying off to the handles or something else below will solve that for you. Okay, so that's one cool thing you can do. Next thing I want to do is what's called the lyric banner. So the lyric banner become very popular in churches and is a really cool concept where you're just taking a strip of wall across your whole stage above a head. Typically, I would probably not go any smaller, even in a small space, than too high, than 1,000 millimeters, and running that across as your lyric banner. Okay, and these can be awesome because you can do, you know, 1 to 2 lines of text on there, maybe a background, maybe not, maybe just black text on white, and you know you can throw light at it. You don't have to worry about putting a projector somewhere, and you can put it behind people. It just looks really awesome. So let's do a quick lyric banner across this space. Ta-da! And even though my space is not that wide, 3 wide, 2 tall, I could fit some words on here. I would definitely go wider in a lot of situations, okay? Next, let's talk about kind of going with the vertical stripes idea. What about some signage, okay? So, you know, a lot of times you might have LED wall, you might have panels, maybe it's something that you use outside sometimes if it's an outdoor wall, and maybe you want to use it, whether this be AV production or, you know, it could also just be a church, and you want for big events to kind of put signage out. nothing looks cooler than an LED wall vertical sign to kind of point people in directions. I personally like to go 1 to 2 wide and then, 3 to 4 tall. And this is where, having a ground support system or some truss bases and these guys can really help you out. So let's build a sign that you can have, at in a hallway to direct people a certain way for a grand entrance to a wedding or a prom or a church event where you're trying to do a really grand entrance. Having some video content on a tall length type billboard outside your room, in your lobby, where have you, can be a really great thing. Let's do it. Ta-da! There we have it. Ran out of height, but you get the idea. I was even able to leave up my wall behind me, which I didn't think was going to happen, but I did unplug it. So, before I totally turn into a ball of sweat because it is starting to heat up here, these are just a few ways that you can put LED panels together. Ultimately, that's one of the beautiful things about LED walls is you can do vertical signage, you can do horizontal things, you can skip rows, you can do even just a frame on a truss like this, and there are generally ways to make it work and do cool creative things with LED. And that's what gets me really excited here on Learn Stage Lighting and why we're going more and more into LED. So if you like this, if you think it's cool and you're like, hey, I need to get my hands on some LED, I'm looking at LED walls, I don't know who to trust, then don't go with a lot of those brands that advertise a ton. Come talk to us. We are dealers for a bunch of brands of LED walls, and we choose the best and help make them fit to what you need. We listen to what you need. We help find you the best fit. We love DVS, but that's not who we sell every time. And so ultimately, it's all about you. Check it out at Learn Stage Lighting Gear, all of our LED walls below. And on a lighter note, if you need to save just a couple bucks here and there, or even if you don't, you just want to save so you can buy some steak or something, Gaff tape, guys, we've got it from Grade A Gaff tape. It's our new brand, same stuff we reviewed a few months ago. It goes head to head with Pro Gaff, comes out really awesome. It's a little bit different, but most people find it's just as effective as the name brand stuff, but at, 40% off or somewhere around there. So if that sounds good to you, check out that as well, and we'll see you guys in our next video. Thanks so much for watching. See ya.